We can turn any NotebookLM notebook into a client onboarding experience. We can use it to direct our customer to fill out an acknowledgement form and capture the data in a Google Sheet, which means we can go from NotebookLM to having our data in our favorite automated software. And we will undertake the process in this video. We will start the process at forms.google.com. We're going to create a blank form. Once we create a blank form, we're going to create a client onboarding sign-off form. In most cases, forms.google will give you a starting point, which you can use for your own onboarding form. We're going to go ahead and click Create Form. We will then have a client onboarding sign-off form starting point. You'll notice here that we do have a short answer, and you can edit out or edit in the elements that you want. For example, we may decide that we don't want to have a rating. So we're going to delete the rating. We're going to delete this element. We're going to delete any additional feedback. Now, this is not a full-blown tutorial on forms.google. You will want to make sure that the responses are going to link to a specific Google Sheet. We're going to click on Link to Sheets. In order to do this, we're going to create a new spreadsheet, and we will have all of our responses in this one spreadsheet that we created to connect to our Google form. Now, you will want to take a look at the settings, and any of the settings that you want to customize, you can customize here. We are not going to make this a quiz or customize any of the other settings. We're going to go ahead and publish the form. We're going to make it so that anyone with this link can answer the form. We will then have a responder link. We can shorten the URL. We could then copy the link. What we now want to do is we want to create a blank document. And when we create that blank document, we're just going to paste in the link. And we want to paste in the link as a placeholder because we want to create now a client welcome document, which we will use later on in the process. And you're going to come into a notebook where you have your business philosophy and that you want your client to understand what it is you're going to be doing. What you're then going to do is you're going to add that new source. So we're going to click Add Source. We're then going to click on Drive. We're going to add in the client welcome pack. We're then going to click Insert. So now our client welcome pack is now inside of the place where we have our business philosophy. We're then going to get Gemini to assist us in configuring the notebook. So we're going to come to Gemini and we're going to attach both the NotebookLM notebook. So we're going to attach the notebook by clicking on Notebooks. We're going to attach the onboarding notebook. We're now also going to attach the document that we created for the client welcome package. Now we're going to then write an extensive prompt. We're going to write this into Gemini. And what we want Gemini to do, we want Gemini to assist us in writing the client welcome pack document. We also want Gemini to help us with the configure notebook section in NotebookLM, now called Gemini Notebook. We also want Gemini to assist us in writing the welcome note section, and we want it to write in Markdown so that we will have a good looking document on the front page of our NotebookLM notebook. What we're also going to do is we're going to ask for Gemini to assist us by telling us if there's anything missing from what it is that we are doing. So this prompt will allow Gemini to give us the information that we want in order to configure the notebook properly, and then to send the customer to fill out the form once they have completed the onboarding process. So Gemini will then give you the 3 pieces of information that you want. And so what we have now is we have the text for our document. And we're just going to copy this now and we're going to put it inside of our document that's already inside of our onboarding notebook. We'll now paste in our document. So our form is now here. We can actually now take out this content. Gemini has now given us our system instructions or our configure notebook section. We can now copy this code. We can now head to NotebookLM. We will now paste in our custom code. And we can leave the default length and click Save. So our notebook is now configured. What we now need to do is we need to configure the welcome note so that it is complementary to the instructions that we gave the notebook. So we're going to copy our markdown and we're going to head to our notebook. We're going to customize the notebook. We're going to turn on Custom Notebook Summary. We're going to paste in our markdown code. We're now going to click Done. Now that the notebook is now complete, we can click the Share button. What we can do is we can make the access public. We're now going to allow copies. And instead of just copying the link as is, we're going to copy the copy link to chat view, and that's the link that we're going to share with others. So when the individual comes to our notebook, you'll notice here that we can then ask any questions about the process. So the client can ask questions about the methodology or about your philosophy, and they can ask it here in this client interface. And what should happen is that the answer will then be given to the client as they have questions. And so during this onboarding period, the client will be able to ask questions about how it is that you're going to be doing business, and your onboarding bot will then answer back according to the philosophy that you have uploaded. Once a client has asked all their questions, they can then click on the acknowledgement form, and they will then be taken to the acknowledgement form. And whatever you set up for the client to agree to, they'll be able to agree to. They'll then be able to submit the form. And the client's agreement is now captured inside of your Google Sheet, which can now be connected to any of your automation software. So we can turn any notebook inside of NotebookLM, now called Gemini Notebook, into a client onboarding portal. It's important to underscore that when you are using a Google Workspace account to execute these models using the AI tools in Google, the workspace interactions are not being used to improve the models. And so if you're taking in client data, you want to be mindful as to where you're going to be creating your client onboarding portal. You want to pay particular attention to where you're going to have your Google form, and even closer attention as to where you're going to be storing that customer information inside of a Google Sheet. If you haven't done so already, it's a good time to go to the Google support page and review how your data may be used and how your customers' data may be used in a particular application. As of the recording of this video, if you use the search term, use Gemini apps with a work or school account, that will take you to the privacy area, and you can read the updated policy as to how to conduct a client onboarding as well as to store the customer's data. Great, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.